Two homes are competing for the same household. One lists 300 more square feet, so the choice looks easy until you walk through it. Some of that advantage may be tied up in long routes, awkward remnants, or space that simply doesn't match what the household needs to do. So before anyone signs a lease or makes an offer, what has that bigger number actually proved? For this comparison, the 300 square foot gap is a transparent thought experiment. These aren't two homes we measured, and 300 square feet isn't a universal threshold or a guarantee that either plan wins. It's just the difference between two reported totals under whatever measuring and reporting method applies. That gives the larger home a lead on paper. It does not tell us how much of that lead will help the people living there. One detail is enough to make me distrust an effortless verdict. For applicable single-family appraisal assignments, Fannie Mae's current guidance standardizes how finished area is measured and reported. Under the ANSI method, it summarizes, a staircase is included in the square footage of the floor from which it descends. That doesn't make a particular staircase wasteful. It means reported area can include circulation without explaining what that circulation allows a household to accomplish. And Fannie Mae says this method cannot be used for apartment-style condominium or cooperative units in multifamily buildings. Measurement can describe included floor area while leaving household performance unanswered. The total doesn't tell you whether your furniture fits, whether daily routes work, whether storage is accessible, or whether recurring activities can happen without colliding. There is no household independent usable space score hiding inside that one number. If the larger home wants its 300 square foot advantage to influence the decision, it has to earn that influence through observable tasks. Start by writing down who and what the home must support. Include every occupant relevant body size or mobility needs, the furniture that genuinely has to come along, the belongings that need storage, and the activities that happen repeatedly. Which tasks require an easy approach? What needs to remain within reach? What needs enough room to be handled? Does anyone need another way to perform the same activity? An empty room can look remarkably cooperative. A household brief makes it answer to actual people. NC State's universal design principles describe flexibility in use as accommodating a wide range of individual preferences and abilities. They also call for appropriate size and space for approach, reach, manipulation, and use regardless of body size, posture, or mobility. Those principles aren't a complete definition of good design, but they sharpen the questions that belong on the brief before either floor plan gets credit. Separate essential, frequent tasks from occasional preferences. A home doesn't rescue a frustrating daily activity by offering an attractive bonus that matters twice a year. Then carry the same brief into both homes, the same people, furniture, storage load, and recurring activities. Now the larger plan's advantage has somewhere honest to begin, and the first place it may disappear is in the routes people travel every day. Walk from the entrance to the kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, and key storage points in each home. Reaching every destination is only the beginning. Notice the length of each trip, the detours, and any route that repeatedly cuts through an occupied activity zone. A generous stretch of floor can separate tasks instead of connecting them, especially when someone must keep crossing a place another person is using. Then make the routes behave like real routes. Operate nearby doors. Account for the edges of the household's necessary furniture. Look for door swings that collide, furniture that narrows a passage, and paths that require someone to move around an object every time through. An empty hallway is flattering. Judge it with the doors moving and the furniture present. Where ADA mobility provisions apply to a dwelling unit, at least one accessible route must connect all spaces and elements, and a sole accessible route may not pass through a bathroom, closet, or similar space. Covered accessible routes specify a 36-inch minimum clear width for walking surfaces and a 32-inch minimum clear door opening. Those are scoped legal minima, not universal comfort targets, and not evidence that an uninspected home complies with the law. Circulation can also compete with an activity instead of merely taking up floor. A 2025 review of home workers identifies avoiding overlap between circulation and other spaces as one approach to managing physical, temporal, and social boundaries. Finding concerns working from home, not every household activity. Still, the visible question is useful. Does a recurring route repeatedly pass through the place where someone is trying to work? Once a route reaches its destination, stop and ask where the objects used there would live. At the kitchen, where do the pans go? At the bathroom, the towels? Beside a desk, the work materials? Follow the entire exchange, where you stand, how the storage opens, what you can reach, and how much capacity you can actually see. A closet symbol earns nothing merely by appearing on a floor plan. The entry makes storage location especially obvious. AARP's HomeFit Foyer guidance recommends an uncluttered transition and, where space allows, storage there for things carried or worn on arrival. Those belongings get a destination as soon as they enter. If their assigned storage is elsewhere, record the carrying and relocating the plan demands. Don't award the home abstract credit for storage that doesn't serve the activity point. approach and reach count too. Where accessibility is relevant, ADA provisions require clear floor or ground space at covered storage elements and at least one specified reach range. That scoped rule does not govern every shelf in every residence, but it directs attention to the practical failure. Storage that a person cannot approach or reach does not serve that person's task. Carry those observations through both homes, room by room. AARP publishes home fit worksheets and checklists for assessing how well a home fits its occupants. That offers a repeatable format, not a standardized property ranking or a substitute for an inspection. If a cabinet interior, reach condition, or storage capacity is hidden, write unknown. Guessing only makes the larger number look more informative than it is. Now bring in the household's actual furniture, not generic floor plan icons that conveniently shrink. Prepare the dimensions of every essential bed, desk, sofa, table, and piece of mobility equipment. Try to place them in both plans. Check each room's width and depth, its continuous wall segments, and the positions of doors and windows. Furniture does not truly fit if it prevents a door from operating or consumes a path the room needs. There's a useful severity to that judgment. A 2024 peer-reviewed Nature Communications study evaluated floor plan feasibility by trying to place predefined furniture blocks. If required furniture could not be placed, the layout was treated as infeasible. That research method isn't a universal score for every household, but it treats failure to place required furniture as a functional failure rather than a decorating inconvenience. The study considered room aspect ratio, room size, apartment access, circulation connections, and furniture placement instead of letting total apartment area decide everything. Room shape can change the result even when area stays fixed. In a small virtual environment study with 33 participants, 4 living room alternatives each had the same 37.21 square meter area, but different width and depth combinations. Participants reported materially different perceptions of their adequacy. That study doesn't establish one universally preferred proportion. It does make the limitation of the area number hard to miss. Equal area can produce rooms that feel and function differently because the geometry changes. The larger home keeps its paper advantage only if its rooms accept the household's required furniture while preserving doors, access, and circulation more successfully than the smaller plan. But suppose everything fits because one rectangle has been assigned 3 jobs: office, dining room, homework space. Is that efficient flexibility or a conflict waiting to repeat every day? Run the room through the household's actual schedule. Put those uses in order. Which ones overlap? What must disappear before the next can begin? During the conversion, does anyone lose the table, privacy, or a clear route through the room? A 2026 qualitative study of Finnish homeworkers described 4 ways work occupied domestic space: separated, nested, merged, or integrated. The study was geographically limited and qualitative, so those categories don't establish how common any arrangement is. Their practical value is in what you can observe, whether work and domestic life can happen together, or whether one repeatedly pushes the other aside. One documented case makes that cost visible. A kitchen table was repeatedly converted between drawing and dining by removing and replacing a tablecloth, tools, and other objects. It's one case, not a model for every household. But the setup and reset can be seen. In either home, ask what your household would have to move, where those things would go, and which activities could continue while the table changed jobs. Rehearse the sequence in both plans. A multifunctional area earns its efficiency when transitions require tolerable effort and essential activities can coexist. It becomes a recurring conflict when every switch means clearing objects, finding temporary storage, interrupting someone else, losing privacy, or blocking circulation. A floor plan can display all the promised functions while hiding every conversion required between them. Now put both homes on the same page. Give every household requirement its own row and place the observations side by side. HUD's home shopping checklist offers a useful precedent. It treats square footage, floor plan practicality, and closet and storage space as separate comparison items, then recommends completing a copy for every toured home so the ratings can be compared later. The total belongs in the record. It doesn't get the verdict. For each requirement, mark supports, compromise, conflict, or unknown, followed by one short observable reason. This 4-part record is an original decision aid, not an official scoring standard. A required dimension may be unavailable. A storage interior may be hidden. A route obstruction or simultaneous use condition may be impossible to observe or legally verify during the viewing. Write unknown when that happens. Missing information is neither a pass nor a failure. Then read across the rows. The smaller home beats the extra 300 square feet only when it supports this household's essential, frequent tasks more reliably. Fewer circulation conflicts, storage positioned where it is needed, room geometry that accepts the actual furniture, and multifunctional areas that switch without repeatedly sacrificing another frequent activity. If the larger home does those things better, it wins. If decisive rows remain unknown, there isn't enough information yet. For a buyer, keep this walkthrough separate from a home inspection. HUD training distinguishes the appraiser, who works for the lender, from the inspector, who works for the buyer and examines physical condition and potential problems. This comparison is about floor plan usability. So the reusable order is simple: define the household, trace the routes, inspect storage at the point of use, place the real furniture, rehearse multifunctional transitions, and compare the same requirements side by side. The final page may point to the smaller home, the larger one, or unresolved questions. Either way, that impressive square footage total is no longer floating above the decision. It has been made to earn its influence one household task at a time.